good afternoon from windy and cloudy Bratislava in Slovakia, but I hope this will be a sunny webinar together. So we will share some bright ideas about how to work in today's world, facing, of course, a lot of the challenges, but also a lot of the opportunities ahead, because, of course, the digital transformation, it's an obvious trend in the global economy, and it's very strongly connected also to bring people in impact areas together. And this is where we solved our position. So perhaps just in the beginning, I would like to give some technical overview. This session will be recorded because, of course, we got a lot of requests to share this video. So I hope it will be okay with everyone if we record this session. And we will have also the Q&As. So please use the Q&A part. Please don't use the chat, but please use the Q&A for bringing questions, even engaging with each other during the discussion. So please, for that specific part, use the Q&As. And later on, we will also have the polls, just to basically get to know some of your feedback on what we are presenting to you. And let me now, first of all, warmly welcome and thank our partners. So we have the DoSchool, and I see also Florian is joining. Hello, Florian. Greetings. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. So we have our dear partner, the DoSchool.
Very excited to be with you, and apologies for being a bit late. I unfortunately had trouble with the link.
Okay, but I hope it works now and it will be all fine. So hello, Florian, pleased to have you with us. And we have also Eva representing the DoSchool as well. And let me also welcome and thank our partners, Paulina Banska from Concept Swan. Paulina, thank you very much for helping us organize this webinar. We really appreciate all the help and support with everything. And also my colleague Lenka, who is behind the scenes helping us to orchestrate all the discussions and communication during this webinar. So we will have a very short intro, which will be done by myself. I'm Rado Mizera, representing Solve, the clean tech company. We are a company based in Finland and in Slovakia. But especially, I would like to give them the floor to Eva and Florian from the DoSchool. And then the most exciting part, which is always the Q&A. So please come up with questions, ask us as many things as you would like to know about how to create and engage digitally, how to bring innovation partners in digital networks, and how to really utilize this rather as an opportunity, as a mass, because of the situation which we are all facing. And for that, I would like to, of course, also share the screen. So let me just jump straight to a little bit telling the story of Solve and showing the platform. And Lenka, for that, I would like to please ask you to allow me to share the screen. So I need your permission. Thank you. Okay. But maybe just for the beginning, before I start sharing my screen. So we as a Solve, we're a company which started in year 2013 as a spin-off company from the Finnish trade and investment promotion organization, which is called Business Finland. And already back then, some 10 years ago, we really started thinking about how to bring sustainability mainstream, how to create impact as a mainstream. And for that, we saw a big opportunity in the digital channels, so utilizing the digital channels, because we believe that the digital channels are the way to connect experts globally, to transfer the knowledge over the distances. And this way, we started building a digital platform, which I will be showing to you. And still, Lenka or Pauli, if please, there is still some little issues with the screen sharing. So I'm not the host. So you just need to enable me to do the screen sharing. So just a small technical detail. Otherwise, okay, I'm the host now, so I hope, okay, excellent. Thank you. So let me come straight to the platform. And we realized that, of course, the world is becoming constantly more digital. And for that purpose, we started building a digital platform, which you are currently seeing. The platform as a marketplace brings together, on one hand, experts, mostly in the sustainability domain, from all around the world. And these experts have been connected to different projects, where we have been co-creating with these experts different sustainability solutions to the different challenges of cities, different organizations, or different companies around the world. And the platform as such does also offer the collaboration part. So it's an interface where the stakeholders and experts and enthusiasts can, of course, communicate and work together, share different content, and create these sustainable solutions. But we realized that as a small company, it doesn't really make sense to build such a digital platform, such a fancy digital platform and sophisticated digital solution just for us. And that's why some 5 years ago, we started completely re-architecturing the whole solution. We started basically building it from the scratch. And this way we started offering it also to other communities around the world, which try to bring some impact. And this way we are able to create a platform which fully meets the expectations of our partners around the world without the need to build your own solution from the scratch and really spend years on building such a digital platform and also heavily invest into developing such a digital solution. So this is really the story that I wanted to raise in the beginning. And before I give now the words to Florian and to Eva, and as you see, I'm already showing the Do community as one of the partners we are working with, and we are really excited to work with. And I also have to tell a story. Usually when we do our demo presentations to our potential clients and to our potential partners, actually the Do community is the platform we usually would show as the first, because I have to say there is amazing learning that we got from you, and that what you do is amazing. And I think you have fully grasped the potential of the digital platform and of the digital solution. So as you see, this is a completely new platform which works as its own ecosystem to bring together its community. And for that purpose, I would like to now give words to Florian and also to Eva, that if you could please tell us a little bit the story of yours and what is the background and how you really started thinking about becoming digital. And of course, I'm also happy to share the platform, the screen, so you just tell me and I will navigate it through. But perhaps for the time being, I can stop sharing and I could give now the word to you, Florian, and to Eva. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Rado. And it's a pleasure to be with you all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm one of the founders of the DoSchool. For those of you who don't know it, the DoSchool is a global education and innovation platform dedicated to a purposeful economy. This means we partner with great companies and governments around the big challenges of our time, thereby educating and training employees, building great fellowship programs for entrepreneurs around the world, which is something that Eva is a leader in our organization, and also journeying with large corporates and governmental agencies around how to transform effectively with speed, with purpose, and with a positive competitive outcome then. And so the DoSchool is about 10 years old. We've been fully blended from the very beginning. And this means we've been actually been building our entire ecosystem with various softwares and tech platforms, and are very happily partnering and collaborating with Solved, and believe that it's a great platform for community building, but also for co-creation. Which is also why I'm happy to be here today and to support the gang and share a little bit from our experiences. So maybe I'm going to say 3 quick things more on the why, and then Eva, feel free to jump in, or I'll actually hand over to you, because Eva is much more knowledgeable when it comes to actually the platform and using it to build community. But sort of the 3 things that I can happily share. So number 1, over the course of the pandemic, even more so than before, one of the key issues I think that we here in our work and in our effort to really grow new solutions in response to the many challenges we face is the conviction that we need to build new partnerships, and we need to build new types of collaboration. And that is something that is shared by the private sector, the public sector, the third sector. Like, everybody feels that just sitting around the table with the same people and usual suspects isn't going to get us where we need to get to. And this means obviously then begs the question of, okay, how do we organize new types of collaboration? And I think the spoiler alert that I can give you, and that's my second piece, is that no software or tech platform is going to be the answer and the solution to it. And I can say that from the conviction that I've built my own platform. We've invested into our own software. We have used other platforms, platforms that are a bit more on the LMS heavy, a bit more on the learning side, platforms that are a bit more on the community sharing side. And so what we have come out to believe strongly is that it is a necessary mix between a great sort of software tool, a platform that actually allows you to quickly engage community, get people together, have sort of an agile way of forming new rooms, new teams, new collaborations where you bring people together. And on the other hand, to facilitate that process, meaning to actually have human interaction where you have the ability to curate the right teams, to bring the right teams together, and then to make those teams actually form a relationship that enables them to actually create great new solutions, right? So this means, unlikely collaborations are more important than ever, is what I see in my work day to day, and what is a true conviction. Secondly, the solution to get there is the right mix between technology and great facilitation and great know-how of how do you actually bring the right people together virtually or physically in order to achieve then actual good outcomes. And within that context, we felt about 2 years ago that Solved is a really great partner, not only because Solved is sharing our values in terms of how do we believe a new competitive economy needs to look like, but then also that, the platform is just a very convenient way to get everybody onto the platform quickly, put them together into dedicated rooms or spaces, and then get them going, no matter whether you're thinking more about a co-creation process that is more about tackling a particular challenge, or whether it's about a learning cohort that can actually work together and sort of get something done. So I think those would be the three things that I briefly wanted to share. So yes, I can recommend Solved as a platform. No, a platform, a software by itself is not going to help you to co-create better or to invent the future work. For that, you actually need a method, a process, and people that are really good at utilizing software. And maybe Eva, you can speak a little bit more about what your experience is of how to actually do that. And what I would be curious to learn a bit more from you, since I have the privilege of actually being here with you and knowing the great work that you do day in, day out. What's really needed for new types of working in a hybrid world? What is a way for new collaboration to succeed?
Thank you very much, Florian. And perhaps, Eva, before that, I would still like to ask you a question for you. And what I think also is very exciting is about the sort of a platform of a platforms concept. And I think you as a DoSchool really represent a very good a visionary player in this regard, because you see that there are different networks which need to operate, but at the same time, they need to be somehow connected. So how do you see also the future of this platform world? Do you think it's going to be more the connection between the platforms, or do you see that the platforms as such will work as independent islands? And I know you have also some activities. Perhaps you could also mention that you already started working also with partners who utilize also the platform, but are still connected to the Do community. So perhaps just this question.
Yeah, so I mean, so thanks for that. So obviously, we are the DoSchool is a platform in itself, right? So that means we work with entrepreneurs, innovators, experts in over 100 countries. And we partner with a broad range of corporates and governmental partners in different countries and in different industry sort of vehicles. And this means that what we were looking for when we were looking for a software was a software that would actually allow us to have one mother community where we would bring all of our people together, but then to also have dedicated sub-communities that would be dedicated to one industry partner or one governmental partner or let's say a group of entrepreneurs and startups that would come together around a particular theme or particular issue, right? So that means that was for us one of the core requirements of why Solved was relevant and interesting for us, because it gives us the opportunity to actually have various sort of platforms that all feed into one mother platform where everybody connects. So that may be as a first piece, and then you know, when it comes to how are we using the platform, then for us the question was, you know, as a provider of services ranging from training to innovation to more catalyzing large transformation efforts, was it actually necessary for us to own our own software, right? Or is it okay to partner and to find a trusted partner that would actually sort of provide us with the tools that would enable us to build our own world, right? Because we're excited about Solved and the experts that are on Solved, but to be honest, we're building our own universe. And what we were looking forward is a like-minded partner who would deliver us the software solution that we needed. And I strongly believe that in today's world, owning your own software is not necessary anymore to your success, even if you're like us, a fully blended organization, meaning we are fully online, offline since the beginning. We operate, as I said, across the world. We have a couple of physical locations, but we do most of our work online. And we believe that this is nevertheless a sort of a good case for actually finding the right technology partner and partnering up, because that will just allow us to build on the expertise of what the gang at Solved is doing. And obviously, as long as there's the right product market match for us, and we believe that Solved is the best product for us on the market, it makes total sense to actually really continue to invest in the relationship.
Thank you. Thank you, Florian, for these very encouraging words, and we really appreciate working with you. And now I would like to, of course, give the word to Eva, and perhaps just mentioning that, yeah, probably in today's world is about the speed, how fast and agile you can be, and building an own solution does definitely take time. So please, Eva, the floor is yours, and greetings once again to California.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rado. Thank you, Florian. Good to be here with you, Paulina. Yeah, so much. I think, Florian, I really love just the framing, those three key points that you were mentioning. And so I can dive in and kind of give stories for each of those, just with our experience building community online. And then I think especially this point that both of you touched on, Rado and Florian, around co-creation, and that, you know, what we're talking about is not just passive listening, which I hope also we can embody in this webinar. You know, I'm so glad we're having Q&A in a moment. I want to hear, what are the communities that you're all building? Why are you here? You know, what are you really challenged by and interested in? Because I think that's the nature of what we're doing. It's not about one direction teaching or one direction being talked at. It's really about co-creation, and that's the new way of working. Every company that's struggling right now, and that's really taking on the challenges of today, that's their biggest takeaway. Bring new voices into the room, actually create experiences at work where you're learning from each other, where you're addressing a challenge, and where you're actually coming up with solutions together in a more collaborative way. So I really want to underline that point. I think that is the new way of working. And I love that we're doing that today, and that Solved allows for that. So there's quite a lot that I could go into, but I think maybe I'll just start with underlining those 3 points that Florian brought up. So unlikely collaborations, this blended approach. So making a digital community and then stepping back is not how it's going to happen. I've learned that, you know, the hard way from long before the DoSchool. And then the third point around co-creation. So with unlikely collaborations, I think that's actually one of the things that we really noticed about Solved. So there are quite a few solutions out there, you know, looking to provide a similar service. And I think it's quite brave for a company to go into this space because everyone is trying to do it. But I think exactly as you brought up earlier, Rado, just the approach that you all had of saying, we're not building one platform, we're actually connecting these different platforms to build an ecosystem that's oriented around sustainability and collective impact. That I think is the key to discovering people who you might not collaborate with before, and then finding that shared purpose to be able to work together. So just one example, we run every year a global day of doing. It's called Do Day. It happens on October 18th. I wonder if anyone here heard about it, saw about it, because there were quite a few people from across the Do community and Solved who participated. But it's a global day of doing. And so, so anyone anywhere in the world can say, hey, I'm concerned about, last year we focused on how we emerge stronger from multiple crises we face. So COVID-19, climate change, widespread injustice. So we said, okay, how do we emerge stronger? So anyone anywhere in the world could be part of Do Day. And it would not be effective for us to select people. That would be a terrible way to organize a collective day of doing that's global. So we really needed platforms for people to discover this and to recognize that they could actually take action on mental health in their community, on repurposing plastic and upcycling it into 3D 3D printing raw materials, which was one of our projects. And so because we had this platform, we were able to get the word out much more widely, and we had quite a few unexpected doers as a result. So we had activities happening over 10 different countries. We had thousands of people viewing, participating in events. And yeah, I think that's just a really nice example of what can happen in terms of these kind of serendipitous connections. Oh, thank you, Karina. So nice to see. Karina is incredibly active. Anyone who's interested in B Corps, this is the woman to talk to. So really nice to see you here, Karina.
Hello, Karina. Greetings. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. And just I think to give color to that, there is a woman in India who is really concerned about the waste that happens in kind of brief use of textiles and clothing. And it's actually a huge contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. You know, altogether, it's estimated to be around, I think, between 8 and 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions come from the fashion and textile industry, which is why we partner with a lot of companies in that space. So she was really concerned about this. She lives in India, and she lives near just these huge mountains of fabric waste. And she knew that she wanted to do something, but this was her first time doing anything like this. She wasn't sure what to do. So she was like, great, okay, there's a structure here around Do Day, you know, I'll take part. But she really wanted to engage with young people. And so she did not have a ton of connections in her social network already, but because of this like platform that connects with other platforms and becomes an ecosystem, she was actually able to connect with several groups of young people in India who are concerned about climate change. And together they created this, this project where they actually were repurposing wasted fabric and reducing greenhouse gas emissions as a result. And it's grown since then. So I think just to give a little story, I really feel like that point is so important. So we've definitely seen that happen, you know, through working with Solved and through building the STU community. Rado, you'll have to stop me because you can tell I tend to talk a lot. So
no, this is great. And perhaps what we could do also make it now the screen sharing again and a little bit show the platform, and perhaps, you know, Eva, because as you mentioned, and I fully agree, we have really seen it with a lot of networks. It's not really about the tool, it's about the tool plus really the processes, facilitation, the methodologies, and I think you have really great experience on creating such processes and methodologies. So perhaps you could a little bit introduce your kitchen. I mean, not maybe too deeply, but just like how the processes run, like how you have been building these processes. And for the time being, I can a little bit also show some of the snapshots of the community and what you have on the platform.
Thank you, Rado. Sure. And Florian, as always, I think we're probably in my meld, but just jump in if you feel like there's something important to touch on. So the Do community is a global online community of people who are focused on purposeful doing. So that's really the essence of all of our work at the DoSchool. And we focus on three things: connect, learn, and co-create. So again, that co-creation point is definitely kind of baked into our DNA. So no wonder we chose Solved. And so I'll just touch on examples of each. So one of the things, I joined the DoSchool and got to dive into building this Do community. I think in the first month that we were launching it, I got to join the team and be part of it. And so together our team was thinking about, well, how can we make it intuitive that when people join this community, they immediately see how they can connect and how they can discover people with a shared purpose, learning opportunities, both being able to learn and also being able to share valuable information and knowledge. And then around co-creation, how can we create these dedicated groups, which Florian mentioned, who are focused on a very specific purpose. So yeah, thank you, Rado. That's perfect. So I think one thing that I really like about Solved, I'm shamelessly plugging it because I think this is very unique. When we did a global survey of entrepreneurs who are focused on social and environmental impact, and we were asking about their top 3 pain points. And again, this is entrepreneurs, but I feel like this is relevant for anyone. So in their top 3 pain points was, how the heck do I actually find the relevant people to talk to in a corporation, in another startup, in a government agency, you know, that I might want to collaborate with? It's really hard. If you go to LinkedIn, it's like the wild, wild west. I'm in California, so that's on my mind. It's really hard to find the right people. And so Rado, if you want to show the doers, so if you go into doers, this is actually something that Solved has set up, but you can search by keyword. So yeah, you can, let's see if we want to search by, let's search by sustainability. I know there are a ton of people.
I think there will be a lot of results.
A lot of doers working on sustainability. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Over 700 people. Yeah. So you can search with keywords like this, but then you can actually drill down. Maybe you're interested in, you know, culture change related to sustainability. Great. You can click on that hashtag. You drill down. Maybe you're interested in people based in, let's say Austria. You want to connect with someone like Karina, you know, then you can drill down by location. So I really like that it allows for much more refined discovery. And I think that's a really important point when we talk about connections and kind of, just serendipitous collaborations. So yeah, could go much more on connect, but I think those were the big points there. On learning, I think that's the whole reason why to create something like a digital platform. So, you know, I've worked at other organizations where we're doing some incredible work around conflict intervention, around sustainability, but most of our communication had to happen through either newsletters, of course, emails, or through these groups on LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. And there you're really limited because you're often in the middle of people's, we have to be the ones creating those connections. People don't actually get to connect with someone who they had no idea existed before. In something like the Do community, if we post about the future of food, So we're running a year-long fellowship focused on pioneers in the regenerative food systems. And we're partnering with, different large-scale corporations around that issue, our funding partner and founding partner, Britta Foundation, and then a bunch of entrepreneurs working in the space. When we post about that, it's really great to see in the DO community. We know some of the likely candidates, we're familiar, of course, with a lot of people in our DO community who are working on food, but there are people who've responded who I had no idea were interested in that space and working in that space. And now they're actually connecting with each other and sharing knowledge about, what does it look like to reduce food waste? What does it look like to, to have more sustainable farming practices in arid areas? So it's just really exciting to see that kind of learning happening when you get out of the middle of these interactions. And yeah, actually, that's a really nice call out. I'm glad you went the red out. Anyone who's interested in the future of food, please join the DO community. I'm happy. I'll send a link in the chat. But we're actually having a meet and greet on Thursday at noon Central European time, 6 p.m. Hong Kong time. And it's open to anyone who's interested. Any foodies, welcome. Talking about the future of food. So I know that was a lot, so I think I'll pause there before I blab on about co-creation. But Rado, Florian, Paulina, anything that you want to kind of touch on, pull out, challenge in that so far?
So perhaps Florian, if you have some feedback, or Paulina, if you would like to add on something, so please.
You two look good to go. Yeah, Paulina, feel free. Were you going to chime in?
And you have the mute, Pauli, so you need to unmute first.
No, I think Eva sort of explained it beautifully. I don't think there's anything for me to add. I'm happy to open up to questions, or Rado, obviously, if you want to go into different directions, let me know.
Definitely, definitely. So please, Eva, if you would like to still add on something, and definitely we can then jump to the questions.
Lovely.
I think already some questions, so definitely we can start answering those.
Yeah, really nice. And Chitan, I see your comment in the chat too, so I want to touch on that. Actually, I'll just briefly right now. Exactly. So I think to your question, Chitan, kind of instead of a cold lead, it becomes a warm one. That's what we notice. And of course, people are people. If, Rado and I have connected live on a webinar, of course, we're going to be more warmly receptive when he reaches out or when I reach out. So, I mean, it doesn't solve the everything. But what we notice is that because people come to a community where they say, hey, we're here because we want to talk less, do more. We're focused on, sustainability. We're focused on more balanced, innovative ways of working. Like, because we already share that, it's much more likely that we have these warm connections and warm leads. So we do see that working, which is really exciting. I think maybe I'll just share one story about the co-creation piece, because I think this is something that it's not possible in all platforms. So I have built community before on kind of internally created community platforms. Oh my gosh, that is painful and takes a lot of time. And then also used, kind of large scale platforms where people are, like LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. That has the advantage of they are where people are spending a lot of their time, which is great. It reduces some friction, but it's hard for people to actually do together. So we can share articles, we can comment, we can have discussions, but when it comes to actually taking action, it's hard to do on platforms like that. And so, what we've really focused on with the DO community is creating these dedicated spaces. So for example, we did a program with UN Women focused on how the fashion and lifestyle industry can be more sustainable and more gender equitable. I love this program.
I can even share something, so please.
Sure, absolutely. So it's under private groups, and Rado, unfortunately, since you are not a a fashion entrepreneur, you won't be able to go in, but we can give everyone a teaser. So you see it here, UN Women's Industry Disruptor. We were able to pilot.
Open it, yeah, and please, yeah.
Yeah, they're great. This is actually really nice. So this is a good example of one of the features, which is Unsolved. We can create these dedicated groups. And for us, we create dedicated groups for programs that we run. So we run acceleration programs, incubation programs, co-creation programs. So we create dedicated groups for each of those. And you actually have the option whether you want to say, hey world, everyone's invited, come on in, like we do at Due Day. Or Unsolved, you can also say, hey, everyone can see what we're up to, but in order to join, you actually need to be invited, which is the case with the UN Women's Industry Disruptor. Or if you're doing work that might be sensitive, we partner with quite a few companies where it's an internal process, like Florian was mentioning, working with employees on new ways of working. And so in that case, we could actually have it be confidential so that only the people involved in that project are able to see it. So in this case, UN Women's Industry Disruptor, amazing group of entrepreneurs, of fashion and lifestyle corporate partners, and then of course UN Women and their whole network. So we worked with about 140 different entrepreneurs who are focused on sustainable and equitable fashion, and then partnered with H&M and Chibo and Bon Prix as our corporate partners to actually come together. We focused on key challenges in the industry. So things like circularity, which I think a lot of you are working on, things like women's empowerment principles, which were created by UN Women. And we actually focused on these specific challenges and ran an acceleration program and a boot camp where we actually could come together and create open source solutions for these challenges. And because it was a dedicated group, and because we can do things like share kind of detailed documentation, share documentation that we're working on together, host Zoom conversations, that kind of thing, all within the platform, it just allowed for a much more collaborative experience than what I've been able to do elsewhere. So yeah, just wanted to share that I think, number one, it's a super exciting program. So definitely check out the Industry Disruptor. UN Women's just doing beautiful work there. And it's also a good example, I think, of co-creation and what we can do. And how the world is opened up. There's no excuse not to work between someone in India and the Netherlands and Sierra Leone now. It's happening.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Eva. So we have also some questions. So perhaps we could look at these questions also together. There has been some specific questions now asking about your community. So for instance, there is a question from anonymous attendee, but anyway, asking, please answer, how large is the DO community network? And how is the admin on the platform working? What are the key learnings for cooperating with Solve? So
great. Wow, anonymous attendee, that is a super rich, multifaceted question. I will try to not blab as much as I usually do. So our DO community is growing. We actually just launched last year, and we have over, I think, 1,300 doers from 90 different countries, I believe, on the platform. So really exciting to see. And it's still growing. So, and it is open. We made the conscious choice to have this be a community that's open. So if you're someone who is focused on taking purposeful action, whether you have a company or whether you're, offering consulting, or whether you are a student in university taking action, obviously feel free to join. Admin for the platform working, I think if there's anything specific that you're curious about, I'm happy to get super nerdy and dive deep. I think just at a high level, I would say, just to give you a sense for what we do kind of on the back end. So we do focus on it's a silly acronym, but three things. I use the acronym PRO. So purpose, rituals, and ownership. So in terms of building community, our goal is to really have, you know, those of us from the DoSchool be lightly facilitating the connections and the learning and the co-creation that happens, but really for people to come to the community because there's something of value there. So because they're focused on a shared purpose, like sustainable fashion, like regenerative food, because they can count on rituals where they can connect with each other. So we have monthly meet and greets where people can actually connect live and kind of take a break from from purely digital connection. And then ownership, where people are really creating a lot of the content and saying, hey, you know, I have this event going on, or to Karina's point, you know, hey, here are some useful tips if you're interested in becoming a B Corp, like here's how you can do that. So that's a lot of our administrative work is really focused on kind of those three principles. I will say, I think there are trade-offs with any platform. Obviously a trade-off, and maybe this is kind of a segue into what are the key learnings. One of the trade-offs of working with a platform that is not LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you know, a social media platform where people are spending a lot of their time, is that it requires people to go to a new place and have a new habit. That's not easy. Like, I struggled to develop a morning routine, you know, for most of my adult life. So new habits are not easy. I think, so there's a trade-off there. I think the reason why, like one of the biggest values that I've experienced working with you guys at Solved is that, number one, I mean, several, but there's such a shared purpose. Like you're focused on building sustainable communities and building an ecosystem of people working on that space and bringing in experts. That's great. So we already share a lot of DNA, I think. And then also, and hats off to Rado and Linka especially, I'm going to give you both a shout out. They are incredibly responsive and collaborative. So I have not experienced this level of, you know, deep listening into what we're really trying to build. Very candid, like, hey, here are our priorities, you know, let's check that. How does that sound to you? Here's what we can do over the next 2 weeks. Here's what would take more like a month. So just the agility and the responsiveness, I think, is something that that I've really appreciated. And there's no bribery involved in that statement. Yeah, you got it. You earned it. So yeah, I hope that addresses a little bit of the question.
Excellent, thank you. I think there is also a good question from Chetan Virhia, which also goes quite well to what we just discussed. And so, how do people qualify who enter the space or the group, just to make sure people who are in the group are the right fit for the collabs? So, perhaps like how to really build a trusted community. So maybe this is also like a question which you deal with quite frequently. So what would be your response, Eva and Florian, please?
Yeah. Wow, really rich question. I know, by the way, Rado, I'm looking at time, and I know we'll be ending just a minute, and I will pop off actually to host the co-creation session. But I would say super briefly from my end, I think it's two things. Number one is, do people earn the experience of joining your community? That doesn't need to mean money. That can mean in the registration process, are they really thoughtfully sharing what is, you know, why they're there, what they want to contribute? So just the questions that we have when people register, hopefully they're fairly lightweight, but it does, I think, really filter for purpose. And then also rituals are really big. So so something like the meet and greets, I think, you know, we have dreams of doing much more. I'm sure you guys have great rituals, but that chance for people to build real relationships so that it's less transactional and more relationships built over time.
Thank you.
So I'll end with that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone who can, please join the Do community or join any of the Solve communities, because I would love to hear what you're all doing and learn together too.
Definitely. And I will still stay and try to answer the technical questions, which have been also part of the discussion. But once again, thank you very much, Eva, for joining, and also Florian. We really appreciate and really are very pleased by the collaboration with you. You do amazing job and you do amazing stuff, and we are really glad to be part of that and looking forward also to the future activities together.
Yeah, fantastic. We look forward to continue working with you guys. The platform is great. I hope it can grow to include more people, and look forward to the continued conversations on how we can actually bring amazing people together so that they can amplify their impact.
Excellent. Thank you once again. So
exactly what he said.
and we can still stay because I will still answer some of the questions, but see you later, and thank you and greetings.
Thank
to
you.
Germany.
Thank you so much. See you all.
Thank you, Rado. Thank you, Paulina.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And we got also some questions which were more focused on the technical side. Perhaps we could also look at the polls. So there are the polls. So please, in the options on the menu below, perhaps you can give us some feedback on the size of your community or how you could potentially utilize the software which we offer. So please have a look at the polling section, and we will now launch the poll, and it will be there. So you'll be able to now answer those questions. And perhaps I can still continue with the other questions. So yes, the recording will be provided. So definitely we'll make it available also on the Solve platform, on our channels. And also I think the Do community will also share it. So definitely it will be available. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think Eva and Florian both give really like a very good insight from their perspective on utilizing such technologies, but also strengthen the fact that the facilitation and the processes do play a key role on building and engaging the community. And yeah, perhaps I can still come to the Q&A section. And yeah, how to become more visible? This is a good question. So I think there are multiple possibilities. One is to join one of the communities. So for instance, the Do community. So please have a look at the DoSchool, their website. There will be a connection to the Do community. You can also, for instance, join Solve community or the other communities which operate through our technology. So also when you come to Solve, and it's the solve.fi is our website, and you log in, you register to the platform, you'll be able to also screen some other platforms which operate through our technology. So there is around 50 listed platforms currently. So some of the most active ones, so they're also actively promoted on the Solve platform. So please have a look at a profile, what they do, and become part of these communities. Of course, if you want to build your own community, it's about a good possibility, to start discussing together. So we'll be getting back to you, dear participants. And, if you have such a request, we'll be able to, of course, I'm very pleased to set up the demo version for you so you can start testing the platform. And this way become more familiar with the possibilities that the technology can bring. So, and that is also a way for you to make yourself more visible, because that way you can start building your own community and start connecting it to the universe of the other communities in the impact domain. It's rather very easy to set up the platform. So actually, it's a very interesting situation that when we are working with our clients and they want to build a landing page, it actually takes them more time now to build the landing page, which is the entry to the platform, than the platform itself. The setting up of the platform takes about 2 hours on average, max half day. It's no coding, so everything is set up basically by the settings. So you configure the whole platform, but at the end of the day, you get a result that it's a platform which you would intend to build initially. So the flexibility is enormous. We have been even providing the platform for COVID projects, for instance, linking medical volunteers to hospitals or different organizations. So there has been even different type of use cases that we would originally think about, and those have been launched in very short time, like really from the initial idea to the launch, we would speak about couple of days. So it's a very, very short time to really build a platform this way, and you can really start testing it. So currently, as you see, there are different communities around the world which use our technology. Altogether, there is around 15,000 experts within the different platforms, but we fully respect the privacy of each platform. So for instance, we can start promoting activities, or you can start promoting activities on the other platforms, but the community of the platform is unique. So the members who register to the platform, they belong to that community, they originate from that community, but they can still explore the other networks and other communities out there. But altogether, currently we speak about expert community of around 15,000 sustainability experts. And in terms of how many platforms, so this is our new product, which we started offering some 2-3 years ago, but especially the last year has been really booming. So currently there is tens of communities. We are getting closer to number 200 of communities which use Solve, but we really see there is a strong acceleration trend, and especially the interconnections between the different platforms, that's something very unique. And notification options, yes, you can subscribe to different public channels. So the private confidential channels, there you need to be invited to those by the leads, by the moderators. But when it comes to a public channel, you can subscribe or leave a public channel, and that way be either notified or not to receive the notifications from the specific public channels. And last but not least, of course, we are very excited to hear from you about ideas how to even improve the experience. So we definitely would like to receive your feedback on any of the functionalities and how the platform can really work for your benefit. So for instance, Corina, definitely let's schedule a call, and we are very happy to hear from you about these ideas. And yes, and last but not least, so how this idea of connecting the different platforms works. So it's about sharing. So for instance, you create a project on your platform and you can start sharing it to the other communities. They need to be approved by the admins and owners of the other communities. But this way you don't need to run like parallelly those activities on each platform separately, but you just create a one event and you share it to multiple platforms, and vice versa. This way you can bring a community also to your platform. You can grow actually your community much faster as really starting on a greenfield and building the whole solution from the scratch. Not only that it takes years actually to build such a sophisticated digital solution, and it costs really a huge amount of money. This way you get it instantly, very flexibly. You can change the structure of the platform. You can embed different processes, but you can start communicating with the other networks out there and bring the community also to your platform. And this is the additional value that the communities can offer to each other. And this is something that makes it very special. That's why we believe that this approach actually is the most interesting part, because at the same time you get connection to the other communities out there, and you don't really need to start building everything from the scratch, because that takes really years. So this is perhaps like the questions. So thank you very much. I hope I have answered the basic questions, and please, if there is anything still, feel free to ask, and perhaps I could also give the word to Pauli now if everything has been answered and if there is still anything that I should mention.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because I have a problem. My screen gets frozen. That's why I couldn't ask the question before, but I kind of figured out how to unmute myself, but I cannot do anything else. I think the presentation was amazing. I must say that it has a big, I would say, a lot of value it brought to me as well, where I have my own, I have platform as well. So, and I want to build the community, and I won't think that it's a huge advantage what you are offering, especially not looking for the leads from the sales perspective, but you actually already have the prospects which you offer, and you don't need to do this hard work, because from sales perspective saying, so this is like huge advantage. So Lenka just shared that if you would anybody like to reserve a session with Rado to go to the details about your platform and specifically your case, there is a calendar on the chat where you are able to save a time with him. So please feel free to do that. But at the end of the webinar, we will also send you follow-up email with a recording and also with some questionnaire, as we would like to get some additional overview, how you like this webinar, what we should improve next time, and maybe with the different topics we should come out next time. So from my side, it's very excited. I'm really happy. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pauli. And once again, thank you for all the support you and your company Concepts One has been providing to Solve in organizing this webinar. Also to company Pen and Paper with the helping of the marketing type of activities related to this webinar. And I have also shared a link to our website. The platform website is actually solvetogether.app, because that's the website where we are promoting our software products, so the white label platform. So please have a look on the chat. There is the link. And then there is also a possibility to book a demo via the website. So feel free to also book a demo with us. We're looking forward to now hearing from you, coming with your stories and your ideas, how you would like to connect digitally, and see it as a big opportunity, because we believe the sustainability goes hand in hand together with the digital transformation. And that's why we need both of these trends to really merge, because what we have observed throughout those last 15, 20 years, us coming from the sustainability domain, so I originally come from the sustainability domain, we still work in a traditional way. And that's why we haven't really seen an acceleration of these trends. So that's why these digital tools, they're really exactly the way to help us accelerate these trends. So this would be my last message for today. So really very keen to hearing from you. Once again, thank you very much for joining, and we hope hearing from you soon. Thank you, and have a nice rest of the day.